Good afternoon and welcome to today's edition of NWCR's Removing Liberal Blindfold for this Thursday, the 29th day of October in the year of our Lord 2020. It seems that the Democrats always blame the Republicans for things that are happening, but here's the truth about what is really going on. Now, I've been talking the past few days of the plans the Democrats have for tearing this country a new one when Trump wins the election. But this shows that they have been doing everything they can to hurt this country, not help it. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez likes criticizing Republicans, particularly President Donald Trump, over their handling of COVID-19 pandemic. In October 6th, for instance, AOC criticized Trump for advising Republicans to hold off on negotiating a COVID-19 relief package until after the presidential election, given House Leader Nancy Pelosi and her fellow Democrats radical partisanship during the stimulus negotiations. What an anti-everybody agenda looks like, unquote. And that's what the New York Democrat tweeted October 6th. The president and GOP are walking away from getting any COVID stimulus relief done, effectively endangering millions after they themselves get COVID and enjoyed free socialized health care so they can push through an anti-ACA SCOTUS pick. But Ocasio-Cortez has little room to criticize Republicans for how they've handled the pandemic and its effects, especially considering that New York's 14th congressional district, which she represents, has seen the highest per capita coronavirus confirmed death rate in the country. In fact, according to Harvard University's COVID-19 metrics for the United States Congressional Districts Project, the 5 deadliest districts for corona-related deaths as of the end of September are all represented by Democrats. Number 5, New York's 5th congressional district by Democratic Representative Gregory Meeks, in office since 1998, 2.60 confirmed COVID deaths per 1,000 residents. Number 4, New York's 9th congressional district represented by Democratic Representative Yvette Clarke, in office since 2007, 2.63 confirmed COVID deaths per 1,000 people. Number 3, New York's 6th congressional district represented by Democratic Representative Grace Meng, in office since 2013, 2.90 confirmed COVID deaths per 1,000 people. Number 2, New York's 15th congressional district, represented by Democratic Representative Jose Serrano, in office since 1991, 3.08 confirmed COVID deaths per 1,000 people. And number 1, New York's 14th congressional district, represented by Democratic Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, in office since 2019, 3.9 confirmed COVID deaths per 1,000 people. Now, it's worth noting that as members of Congress, AOC and the Democratic representatives mentioned above are, for the most part, not responsible for the COVID deaths in their home districts. AOC, for instance, represents her congressional district, but she is not responsible for running her district. Legitimate targets of blame for the situation might instead include local and state officials like Democratic New York Governor Andrew Cuomo and Democrat New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio. That being said, it's still ridiculous for Ocasio-Cortez to be lobbing grenades at anyone else over their response to COVID crisis, according to George Upper, editor-in-chief of the Western Journal. Quote, just as I would say that I don't think Donald Trump has a heck of a lot to do with how many people are dying from COVID, Upper said Tuesday on WJ Live, the Western Journal's new podcast, quote, I wouldn't hold a representative responsible for that, unquote. Still, Upper said, quote, for AOC to be lobbing grenades at anyone else when that's what her home district looks like is just ridiculous. That's essentially her washing her hands These are my people. They elected me. I have nothing to do with this. It's all on you, guy from Washington who is so much farther distant from this than I am, unquote. The narrative on the left is that politicians are responsible for it as long as the politicians are Donald Trump, Upper said. That's the narrative from the left. It's ridiculous, he added. Of course, if we're going to play the blame game, when it comes to coronavirus, then by their own twisted rules, Democrats are some of the biggest losers to date. And now to remove the liberal blindfold here, folks, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is just like every other Democrat around these days. All the troubles with COVID and the troubles with Antifa and Black Lives Matter are in their districts, yet they continue to lock down people like they are criminals, thinking that the people will never rise up against them on that, but the time is coming. They let Antifa and Black Lives Matter terror groups run amok in their cities and then blame Trump for the damages that are caused, thinking that the people will always support them. But they are finding that isn't true. They lost 1,000 delegates after their DNC convention this year. And, oh, you didn't hear that one? Well, of course not, because their media kept silent about it. You hear of Biden saying that Hunter Biden stuff is nothing but lies, and there were even reports, but not in the lamestream line media, but reports got out of Biden calling a citizen a damned liar over it at a town hall meeting, and several times totally losing it and even walking off stage once. But of course you don't hear of shit like that because the lamestream lying media protects him and then makes up lies about Trump just to get the story going in another direction. There is even a movement now of people who have voted for Biden who are now asking to change their votes, and yet the polls show Biden is ahead in them. You see Trump rallies with thousands at them. Then you see Biden-Harris rallies with as many as 10 at them. And no, I don't mean 10,000. I mean 10, period. And yet the polls show Biden ahead in them. But here is what we have learned over the past 4 elections about polls. If the polls say the Democrats are winning and will win, then you have to look at the polls and see by how much. If the amount is close, like the Wisconsin polls that say Biden is ahead 45.7 to 45.1, then you can bet Trump will win. Remember the night of the election with Bush and Gore? The polls said on the night of the election that Gore was the winner by a landslide, yet he never made it to the White House. Bush did. When Trump was running against Hillary, the polls all said the night of the election that Hillary was our next president. She never made it to the White House. Remember Lincoln? You know, Abraham Lincoln? When he was president, he was probably the most hated man in the nation from both sides of the aisle. He is now considered to be one of our greatest presidents. Remember Reagan? When he was president, not many thought of him as a good president. Many on both sides of the aisle hated him, yet he is now considered to be one of the greatest presidents ever. Remember Hillary Clinton as president? No? Well, that's because she never was, though a headline today said that she is still fuming because she believes that she was born to be president. She never will be. Remember Biden? He will never be president. Because why? Trump will walk away with the election. All you have to do is look at the rallies to see that is true. Trump's rallies are always filled to capacity, while Biden and Harris's have to fight to get 100. So who is winning? Trump will be the winner of this coming election, folks, and the Democrats know it. That is why they are working so hard to make the polls say what they want them to say, and why they are working so hard to get mail-in ballots. Another headline today, an unknown number of ballots disappeared in Pennsylvania. There is the fault right there of mail-in ballots. If you're a Democrat, you like that. But if you're an American, you had better hope that most people vote in person this year, because Trump is going to win. Thank you for watching, my patriotic friends, and I'll see you all again tomorrow with our next daily update. And as a friend of mine used to always say, we will not be ruled. But maybe that should be changed to we should not be ruled, because the way we are going today, folks, being ruled is the least of our worries coming down the pike. This is Robert the Infidel for today's NWCR's Removing the Liberal Blindfold, which is brought to you by Conservative Nation Media. where America always wins. Have a blessed day, and God bless you all.